All right, our main Victor has got it all ready going on. Our next speaker, Ken, is an experienced speaker, professor, a skilled speaker, speaks to classrooms, auditoriums, sold out shows nationwide.
Sold out.
Absolutely sold out. He rocks the house. Give it up for Ken.
Well, today my presentation is the icebreaker presentation, in which I'm asked to tell you something about myself, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, many people, when they find out I moved here to Chicago from New York City, ask me, as I'm sure you would ask me, well, how is Chicago? How does it compare to New York? Do you like it here? What's it like for you? And I would tell them, just as I would tell you if we were talking over coffee, that I have a good life here. I have a higher standard of living. I have a fuller, richer life than I ever had in New York. But what I wouldn't tell you unless you pressed is it didn't start out that way. Now, I came here because I got a job. It was an excellent offer. It came at the right time. The position was tenured full professor at UIC, what I'd always been after. I had been working at Princeton University, and my position there had become a little uncertain, so this was just the right thing. I had recently become divorced, so that was also an opportunity to change cities. The position here paid well, paid for my move to the city. I thought, well, I might as well do it. So I arranged to have the movers come to my place in Manhattan. Part of the deal was they would pack up everything in my apartment. I said, yes, hey, this is what I always dreamed for, because prior to that I was always moving myself, you know, lifting things up, carrying downstairs, upstairs, stuff like that. This really sounded like part of a good deal. So the mover came, and the packing consisted of his taking things and dumping them in boxes. I said, okay, it's part of the move, I'll live with it. I arranged with the driver of the moving truck to arrive in Chicago. When the truck arrived, because I was driving out here, I packed up my car with a few suitcases, some stuff just to get by for 2-3 nights during the drive here, drove to Chicago. When I arrived in Chicago, checked into my apartment at Presidential Towers, got the key, went up to this wonderful apartment, really much bigger than anything I had in New York City. Nice view out. I was on the 22nd floor. Really, I felt good about it. And then I found out, or was informed, that the moving truck was delayed. And I was pretty cool about that. So what? I didn't need all that furniture and stuff. I had stuff in the car for myself. Until that evening, when it was time to go to sleep. And I discovered, wait a minute, I don't have a bed. I don't have a pillow. I don't have a blanket. I don't have anything, in fact. And that night I found myself sleeping on the carpet with nothing in this great apartment, huddled under my coat with rolled up clothes for a pillow. And I thought, what have I done to my life? How low the mighty have fallen. Evidently, as low as the carpet, because that's where I was, lying on the carpet there. And that lasted for 2-3 days. And I was quite unhappy about that, because that was the start of my new life in Chicago. What I didn't realize at the time was that experience, as uncomfortable as it was actually a metaphor for a much better experience I was going to have in Chicago. Basically, I was in this empty apartment that was mine to fill however I wanted it, in a new city in which I had no history. It was a new beginning, a totally new direction for me. And in fact, in the next few years in Chicago, I filled this empty opportunity, or this new opportunity in Chicago, with many, many things. I started dancing Argentine tango, something I'd never done before in New York. I got so good at it that I could dance easily, without thought, all around the city at a variety of dances. I built a new laboratory as part of my position at UIC, such that that laboratory became world recognized, attracted me a lot of students, a lot of financing, enriched my life with scientific success. I took up boxing, something I'd always loved ever since I was young, but never had an opportunity to do it, and got so good at that you see before you the two-time world champion for my age and weight division. I pursued my interest in French language, went to the Alliance Française, really perfected my French, spent a year in France on leave, on sabbatical. And, as you heard previously, I'm here at Toastmasters, enriching my life, trying to make my words sing. So those few days in the emptiness of my apartment here in Chicago, which seemed to be a dismal start, were actually representative of what was going to come to me. An opportunity to fill an empty space with a lot of rich and exciting kinds of things, which I did. So, as I mentioned, if you were to ask me about my life in Chicago compared to New York, I would say it was richer, fuller, more interesting than any life I ever had in New York City. And the secret to making that life richer was filling up the empty space of Chicago before my baggage arrived from New York City. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Ken with New Ice. Ken